Thank goodness for that. The international break is done. It gets longer every time, doesn't it? It's only been 3 games, but it's done with, folks. We've got proper football back. Let's get excited. It's Brighton away here on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. Do you feel the same emotion as me, Seb? Because it really isn't that long, 2 weeks, but I just don't feel like we got a proper feel of football before we then lost it. And losing in the cup doesn't really help. But international breaks are crap, aren't they? Let's be honest. Let's just call it as it is.
Yeah, you're right. They are absolute rubbish. I guess the difference is normally we're probably 5 or 6 games in at this point, so you're kind of in the rhythm, and you kind of had a few midweekers, and you're looking forward to what's to come. But yeah, 3 games then a break is stupid, especially because there was an international tournament. You know, these squads were all together 6 weeks ago, or whatever. So yeah, stupid, boring. It drags the week out. I dread the weekends on the calendar when I haven't got an Ipswich game noted down, because you have to do boring stuff around the house. And yeah, like you said, thank God, proper football is back.
Football. How does Seb Brown feel an international break? Give our listeners, viewers, watchers an idea of the kind of fun that you get up to.
Well, I went to IKEA, which is a place I try to avoid on a regular basis. My partner needed a new wardrobe. I went to IKEA and I did that man thing where you kind of guess at sizes. So I bought a 2-meter long wardrobe and proceeded in the IKEA car park in Warrington in fairly torrential rain to fit this into my 1.5 meter Toyota Hilux cab. As you can imagine, it didn't work very well. So then I had to take it all back out again, still in the pouring rain, walk back into IKEA, return said wardrobe, buy said wardrobe, and then pay 35 quid for the wardrobe to be delivered, whilst being asked by 4 different people, didn't you think to measure it first? So that was my Saturday. Yeah, really, really good fun. Presumably you do equally mundane DIY tasks or gardening or something?
Yeah, well, I put that off. It was my birthday last weekend, as it goes.
Happy birthday!
So yeah, thanks. I haven't done one of these in a while as well. By the way, it feels really weird to be back. And thank you to Mikey. We need to say thank you to Mikey, who's excellent as always.
Brilliant host, best.
Yeah, probably better than me.
Yeah, conversation flowed nicely. Lovely having him. Respectful.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, back to reality with me. So yeah, it was my birthday last weekend, so that was enjoyable. But yeah, what I did do was my first appearance as the PA for ITFC Women at Felixstowe, which was quite good. Apart from running out of breath halfway through a shout of Blue Army, it didn't go too bad. I didn't swear, as I try not to on this podcast. So yeah, that was the highlight maybe of my international break. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people feeling similar in the chat. Philip, so looking forward to the trip down to the South Coast. And Ashley here, finally club football is back. I can't stand it. Yeah, we feel your pain. Paul has had a painful evening by the sounds of it. 90 minutes on Nacton Road, blimey. Gary's watching the Speedway, all kinds of stuff going on. Let's get back in the routine, folks. We're here to get your Thursday night back to its usual structure. Evening to Richard. Looking forward to restraining my emotions in the home section of the Amex. Blimey, have you ever done? We've had this chat before, but I always forget. Have you done home end watching Town before? The opposition.
I've been corporate in the. I went to Man United. We lost 2-0 in the relegation season in the Premier League. I was corporate, so I had to be best behaved then. But no, I don't think I've actually sat in the home fans. No, because I go to so many away games. I've got so many points. It's not really a problem. Hi, Mullet. Evening.
Blimey, we're not even 5 minutes in yet, and there's some membership points brags. If you've had a fun experience sat in the home end as an opposition supporter following Ipswich, let us know. I've done Anfield, Seb, as an away fan in the home end, and we took the lead. It was, I think I mentioned this on a podcast, Tommy Miller scored at the Cop End in the League Cup 2002, I want to say. So that was my experience of trying to stifle my emotions there, and frankly they wouldn't have cared anyway. It's like, oh, little Ipswich, oh, well done. Evening to MW, he is with us. Michael, routine, this is what we want. Weather report from Brisbane. We're into autumn now, so dark, rainy, early mornings follow. Are you sure you're Southern Hemisphere? Because it's autumn here. When we did the podcast before, the curtains open, it was light and breezy and lovely and warm, and now it's freaking freezing and it's dark and miserable, isn't it? The circle of life.
Mine's the same as Michael. I have dark, rainy early mornings, but it just stays dark, rainy all the rest of the day. It's rubbish. It was 6 degrees this morning.
Nuts.
That's like winter. It's rubbish.
We have covered some really good bases. We haven't even talked about Brighton yet, which is why we're here, folks. So do stick with us. We are going to get onto proper football at some point, even to Chris in Queenstown. Gary asking about the away kit. We are in maroon because they've advertised it on their socials midweek, didn't they? So there you go. A few more clicks needed on the thumbs up, says Michael. Doing that makes us very happy. So if you want to give us a thumbs up, if you want to subscribe as well, we are really closing in some good milestones as well. So subscriptions to our YouTube channel, a lot of good podcast reviews as well, by the way. Thank you to everyone who's done that. But clicks mean a lot to us. So please, if you don't mind, we would very much appreciate that. Neil, repeating the sentiment about proper football. Rodder's wife's a Brighton fan. I hope to be sleeping on the sofa Saturday night. Yeah, do a knee slide on the front room carpet when you've come back in from hopefully a victory, Rodders. That would be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, good. Everyone's here. Lovely. What else have I got in the chat before we? Yeah. Oh, here we go. Happy 50th, Rich. Absolute disgraceful behavior. And then Lee's double down. Absolute disgrace. Bus pass, absolute. I've been away for 2 pre-match shows. This is great banter, says FPL. It's bullying, it's ageism. That is what it is. And Seb
keep it coming, folks. Keep it coming.
He doesn't care. Good evening from Jeddah, chaps. Pretty warm here, says Matt. Yeah, well, good for you, Matt. I'm feeling toasty and warm now. This is good. Thank you everyone for getting involved. We will dip in and out of the chat all night. But yeah, interested to hear. Oh, here you go. Here's Gary. I was in the A block in East End, Chelsea, when we went 1-0 up. Chris Q and we stood up, then stood down. Stood down? Yeah, stood down makes sense quite quickly. Yeah, keep those coming. Horsehollerer was in the cop for Adam Tanner win at Anfield. Wrong end, wasn't it? Horsehollerer, that's a shame for you. But yeah, you were there when the hoodoo was broken at Anfield.
Have I imagined it, or were you corporate in the home end for the Noel Hunt Charlton 90th minute winner?
Yeah, we got told off. Yeah, me and a group about 3 or 4 mates. Yeah, and to be fair, they turned around when we do exactly the same thing. But 94th minute winner, whatever it was, you can't not do that. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we had a few that season. Courtesy of a friend at Skybet. So there you go. Before we get too far, we're going to do some news and bits and pieces, but obviously everyone here at Blue Monday, and I'm sure everyone listening and watching, sends all their love and support for George Burley and his family. News announced this week that he's not well and currently having treatment for cancer. So we wish him all the very best. Someone we've spoken to on the podcast, you can search out Craig's 2-parter with him. And we obviously spoke to Neil Prentice last week about the book that's coming out about George's Ipswich Town managerial career primarily as well. But obviously, tough time for him. It sounds like he's doing, he's bearing up really well. Good statement put out on behalf of Neil Prentice and the guys writing the book. But obviously, we're sending lots of love to an ITFC legend there, George Burley. So we wish him all the very best. Moving on to other bits and pieces of news, Seb, the guys on the Flagship Show kind of teased the idea contracts might follow. There was a little bit of skepticism whether it would be the one that we all want, which is Leif Davis, and true to form, that hasn't happened yet, but probably one we expected and one maybe we didn't expect. Talk us through new deals for Wes Burns and Christian Walton.
Yeah, I think you've nailed that, isn't it? One was kind of not really a surprise. He was the first ever game changer signing, wasn't he, in June 2021? Big game Burns, we've referred to him as so many times on this podcast, and fully deserving. I'm sure he would have had a multiplier on his wage for promotion, but to get hopefully what's a 2-year deal on proper decent Premier League wages, albeit probably with a relegation clause in there, is fully deserved because he's been such a key player. 114 appearances since he joined us, 26 goals. What a legend. We always miss him when he's out of the side, don't we? No one, I know Bono's only played 1 game, but up until now, no one's really got that right hand role in the McKenna side down to a fine art like Wes Burns has. So fully deserved and really happy. And then I was a little bit surprised, I'll be honest, with the Christian Walton one, because we spent most of the summer, didn't we, assuming he would naturally move on. He lost his place on the eve of last season to Flagkey, only made that 1-minute appearance against Huddersfield on the last day. And it kind of felt like going into the final year of his contract, a mutual parting of the ways would kind of serve us both both well. We'd wish him well. He'd go and play some football, but he's clearly very happy where he is, and a brilliant deputy, a brilliant number 2. We saw when he came in against Liverpool on the opening day of the season, he never let us down. Okay, maybe he's not as tuned with the ball at his foot as like he was last year, and hopefully as Muric is this year. But yeah, a bit more surprised than that one, but equally well deserved. And one of these great characters. It's great to keep this core, isn't it? Your Chaplins, your Wes Burns, your Waltons, the players that have got us here. It's great to keep that core of players in the building because we know they're such top professionals, such top guys. So again, fully well deserved.
Yeah, great shout there on Christian Walton. Sometimes he's a decent keeper. We know that anyway. We like talking about sliding doors on this podcast, don't we? And there's a situation, the Sunderland game last season, where last season goes very differently for him. But fact is, it didn't. But it's come in and not let anyone down. But as you say, a good character, feels like a very grounded individual generally, very switched on, clearly part of the culture at the club as well. So I like that situation there. I Christian Walton obviously wants to play football, and maybe he will. And there's quite a few people in our Telegram group who are getting a little bit antsy about Aro Muric. More on him later on, I'm sure. So definitely no concerns with having Christian Walton as number 2 there. So yeah, good situation there. A few players who departed, Seb, have sorted themselves out with moves, perhaps certainly on one part, and maybe a level lower than we might have anticipated.
I think so, yeah. Dominic Ball's gone to Leyton Orient on a deal to the end of the season. I thought he'd probably get a move slightly higher up the pyramid, but I guess the concern is, the window's closed. It becomes very easy to get forgotten about, doesn't it? In the wrath of there must be thousands of players that get released at the end of each season and can't pick up clubs. So maybe it's a case of, take it, play some football. We know he barely featured for us for the last 2 years. But again, another top character by all accounts, a great bloke to have in the dressing room. So wish him well. And Freddie Ladapo's gone to Huddersfield on a 2-year deal and will probably score 20 goals for them. He's a cheat code a little bit at that level. He's pretty much a guarantee, isn't he? So again, it didn't work out for him necessarily in the Championship, but those, 17 league goals, 21 goals in total in the League One promotion season, should never be forgotten. And yeah, we wish them both the best. Hopefully they can play some football and kickstart their careers again.
Yeah, Freddie needs service though, doesn't he? He's not going to create goals on his own.
Yeah.
Albeit that kind of the moment of his Town career really is that goal away at Charlton, which ultimately became meaningless. Quality goal was might have got us a point, I guess, in the end of the day. But yeah, was it Morsey who scored the 4th? But yeah, sorry to rake up old graves about people who are getting over their PTSD about Charlton. James mentions Jason Dezell's book, Follow the Thunder. Can wholeheartedly recommend that one, James. A lot of our Telegram group are getting through that one, finding it really fascinating. Maybe a bit of a challenging read as well. Had a difficult time of it coming through at Ipswich and home life as well. So but Nick Ames has done a really good interview with him as well, and The Guardian recommend checking that one out. But yeah, do support Jason Dezell's book, not least because ITFC legend, but also Stuart Watson, our friend at Kings of Anglia in the EADT, has been involved in that one really heavily as well. So great to support them. And sorry, Zurich. Yeah, let's move us on quickly. No ITFC women game this weekend, Seb, because in the wisdom of the league, and I've got in trouble for moaning about this, but I don't care anymore. They leave a gap in the fixture calendar for the second round of the Cup, but not the first round after the determining round. You remember I missed the Prematch Show for Fulham because of the Norwich game. That was the determining round. Essentially, there's 2 tournaments. You either go into a plate, which is for the losers, like Norwich, or the actual League Cup, like as a winner, like Ipswich. And they reserve a space in the fixtures for it to play on a Sunday for round 2, but not round 1. So we were drawn with AFC Wimbledon. We were supposed to play AFC Wimbledon in the league this weekend. We're not. AFC Wimbledon have got a cup draw. We got a bye because we're massive and brilliant. And then AFC Wimbledon got a bye after the fact. They've been drawn, got a bye, essentially called a walkthrough, I think it is. Essentially, it's assumed they've played the game and they've just won it. I think the other team forfeited. So we could have played the game, or we could have just allocated a fixture for it, a week in the fixture list for it. I'm fuming, as you can tell.
So just let me clarify, neither ITFC women or AFC Wimbledon women are playing a game this weekend, but they still can't play each other.
Correct.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. Right. That seems really dumb.
Welcome to the world of fixture congestion and confusion in Tier 3 of the Women's League. Walkover, says FPL Tractor. Thank you very much. And Lee as well. Thank you, everyone. Walkover. Let's get our terminology right. So no game at the Martello Ground in Felixstowe this weekend, but the next home game for ITFC Women is the 6th of October against Watford. And if you are local to the area, there's a game away at Billericay on Wednesday, the 25th of September, I think it is. I think it's the 25th. So if you want more information about that, visit ITFC on socials or the Women's Official Supporters Club, which will give you all the info you need. Let's talk about Brighton, Seb. We'll come back to sliding doors moment with our manager and theirs at some point in the next few bits. But summarize Brighton, because again, it's a team that I remember us playing pretty frequently in the kind of mid-teens, and then suddenly off to the stratosphere, aren't they?
Yeah, phenomenal. They must be in a shout. They must be the best run club probably in the Premier League, maybe in the entire English
or the
pyramid.
Old Brentford. I'm trying to.
No, I think this, because Brighton have just pushed on each time, haven't they? You know, it shows what you can achieve. If you can have a couple of seasons where you can finish 17th, 16th, 15th, then you can really look to push up, and that's what they've done. We'll discuss their amazing recruitment, but they have become the ultimate poster child, haven't they? For any side getting promoted out of the Championship, everyone mentions the Brighton model. I think it's quite clear that as a football club, I think FPL mentioned it earlier in the chat, it's quite clear we're trying to emulate them. They are one that we are. Didn't we go and look round their facilities when we were in League One and stuff? I'm sure I remember Ashton saying stuff like that when they were talking about new pitches and getting ideas. I'm sure they had a link with the club. That link may have been slightly fractured with the goings on over the summer that we'll discuss. But I think they've become the ultimate poster child. They are an excellently run club. Tony Bloom has spent a small fortune, obviously professional gambler, but to take them from where they were when he took over in 2009, I think was it, to where they are now, it's unrecognizable. And yeah, hats off. They are an incredibly well-run football club, and this is going to be a really difficult game at the weekend, I think.
Yeah, I remember, was it Cucci scored at the Gold Star ground, or was basically an athletics track, wasn't it? Withdean, that was it. Where's the Gold Star? Is that the one before? I can't remember, but yeah, the Withdean, and yeah, you know, basically homeless for so long.
Yeah.
And then this amazing new stadium, perfect for them. A little bit out of town, if we're honest. Logistics wise, do your research in advance, town fans, unless you're on the coach. And then, yeah, as you say, the good thing is they've not, not settled with where they've got. They've then built, and the squad. We're going to talk about the depth, Seb. I mean, internationals throughout. I mean, it might be really helpful for us on Saturday in respect of the Gold Star is Felixstowe. In respect of a bit of tiredness, but I think we've probably got that ourselves. But yeah, every time you think, oh, there's a superstar that's gone, someone comes through. They've just got their recruitment spot on every time, and the managerial aspect as well, which we'll talk about in a second. They've also got that right too. So you have to give huge credit to the behind the scenes, the strategy there, and keeping to a plan. Which, you know, some teams get into the Premier League and lose their heads, don't they? So huge credit to Brighton. Give us the kind of how things stand, and remind us what happened 2 weeks ago in their last Premier League fixture.
Yeah, so they're sitting third in the league with 7 points, played 3 games, they've won 2 of them. They've beaten Everton on the opening day 3-0 at Goodison, I think it was. That was a bit of a shock. I didn't really see that one coming. And then Man United 2-1 with the Zerbi offside goal. They get a bit of good luck about that, and João Pedro scores a 95th minute winner. And then last time out was against Arsenal, obviously two weekends ago at the Emirates. 1-1 draw, good point for them. The Declan Rice red card kind of marred the game. What's your views on that? Because I think it was a rubbish red card, but do you care? Are you bothered?
It's just a weird situation, and I don't think the explanation from the officials made any sense either, and that's the problem. It's clear and obvious that it's not right. Do you know what I mean? It's like the incident is weird anyway, but I just don't know how someone hasn't really clarified and explained that, because I'm none the wiser. I assume you're the same. Can't really figure it out.
Well, he's kicked the ball away, but the ball was moving, so the ball wasn't dead, so therefore it can't be in play. So I don't, like you, I'm not really sure. But in that situation, surely you just want to see the ref get them both together and say, "Stop being idiots, get on with it, let's move on with the game." Yeah. So they got a 1-1 draw at the Emirates, which is a good result for them. João Pedro scored again, second week running, equalised in the second half after Havertz chipped their goalkeeper through on goal in the first half. 64% possession at the Emirates. I know the red card does slightly kind of alter the stats. It was 76% in the second half. I'm not sure many sides will go to the Emirates and walk away with that level of possession. 22 shots, 6 on targets. Underperformed on the XG against Arsenal. Arsenal's XG was 2.14 and Brighton's was 1.76. But that's a brilliant point away at a really difficult place to go to. It's a really impressive start to the season. And I guess we'll discuss the manager. And I guess when sides do make managerial appointments, you kind of think, which way is it going to go? But certainly this one seems to be going very well so far.
Yeah, and last season, I mean, should we talk about it now? Let's the elephant in the room.
Do we have to bring this up again? I didn't put it in the script. Just for everyone in the chat, he's added this into the script. I didn't want to mention it because I was exhausted by it all in May.
Only because the Zerbi situation is the talking point to me, because they finished the season 11th, 48 points. The end of the season really badly, but that's because Zerbi's basically, I think, on borrowed time anyway. But Zerbi's highly rated. You know, a lot of clubs are linked with him, but I don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of Brighton and think, why do you get rid of him? I guess it's a FC mutual consent, isn't it? But
he's a fiery, emotional character, isn't he? He's fiery, emotional.
Is he a gamble?
He was outspoken quite a few times about the transfer strategy. So I think as soon as you're not calling out the owner, but as soon as you're, bringing things up that should probably stay behind closed doors, you're probably on borrowed time. He probably thought he had the confidence to do that, given the fact he was linked with Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Man United when they were umming and ahhing.
Mid-table, playing really excellent football, weren't they?
Yeah, so he probably thought, I can probably either push this and we'll see which way it goes. Either I'll get binned off and get myself a top, a job higher up the pyramid in this country or a different country, or I'll get the backing that I want and I can, put my transfer strategy into effect. But like you said, they ended the season poorly, only 1 win in 10. And then it was the night before, wasn't it? The night before the final day of the Premier League season. It finished on a Sunday. And on the Saturday night, this statement comes out that he's leaving. And I think all of us in our Telegram group at that point kind of went, oh no, because if there was one club we were really concerned about, it was Brighton. And look, we know how it all played out. We will never know how close Kieran McKenna was to moving there. I would suggest he was fairly close, but he stayed with us. They had to go elsewhere, and thank God he's going to be in the away dugout on Saturday.
And last season, some milestones as well for them. First ever European campaign. Fair play.
Yeah, so they finished 6th in Zerbi's first season. They finished 6th in the 22-23 season. Brighton's first ever, like you say, Europa League, European campaign. Tough group. They're in a group with Ajax, Marseille and AEK Athens. They finished top of that group and they lose to Roma 4-1 at the stage of the last 16. So although they finished 5 places and I think it was 10, 12 points, maybe 14 points lower than the season they finished, there is mitigation around, any side, as we found out in 2001, 2002, any side that's trying to balance a European campaign with league football naturally has a drop-off, and that's what's happened to them last season.
Matt here mentioning surely this match will be the youngest managers to ever compete against each other in the Premier League. Fabian Herzler and Kieran McKenna, he's given the ages there, 31. Absolute disgrace, 31 and 38 respectively. Even McKenna's age is a little bit galling, isn't it? Talk to us about Brighton's new manager, Seb. American born, but German. He's kind of a hybrid of that, German pragmatism, strategy planning, and maybe a bit of the passion and open-mindedness of, I don't know, maybe I'm clutching at straws. Give us a profile.
Yeah, so 31 years old, which sounds absolutely crazy, doesn't it? Fabian Herzler, appointed in July, the second choice, the sloppy seconds to Kieran McKenna. Joined from FC Pauli after winning the Bundesliga 2 last season. He had a brief playing career at the Bayern Munich Academy, but never got going. His playing career was ended when he was 23.
Same TWTD reporting the same injury as McKenna. I mean, there's so many similarities between these guys. But the same hip injury, I think.
So he becomes like the McKenna route. He goes down the route of the kind of studying for his badges at a very young age and being involved on the training pitches from a very young age. That's put him in such good stead for what he's doing now. In 2018, he gets appointed the assistant manager for the German under-20 and under-18 sides. 2020, he's the assistant manager at FC St. Pauli, gets the full-time gig in December 2022, wins Bundesliga 2 title, and that gets him the move to Brighton. I imagine just like their player scouting network, they will have a Mark Ashton-esque data dashboard with all these young names from across Europe, and I presume that McKenna and him and various others will be right at the top, and they moved pretty quickly for him once it became apparent that McKenna was gonna turn them down. He's younger than 5 of his own playing squad, and he was 9 years old when James Milner made his Premier League debut, and now he manages him. Absolutely crazy, but yeah, we wish him well, but not on the weekend, obviously.
Yeah, first manager I think born after the first season of the Premier League era as well.
Crazy, isn't it? It's horrible.
Yeah, to your point about the data dashboard, I mean, one thing that the data dashboard is going to be completely dispassionate about is age, its profile, isn't it? It's stature in respect of his tactical acumen, his coaching philosophy, his results, those kind of things. Age doesn't really matter, and that's such a much more progressive way of thinking about it. Fair play to Brighton leading the way on this, and even us a little bit behind the curve, but have got there eventually. A lot of teams doing this model. There's a lot of really excellent coaches who just didn't get the breaks in their terms of their career. And, fair play to Brighton. It's early days. You could argue new manager bounce. Maybe we'll see after the weekend, perhaps. Who knows? But another example of Brighton's long-term strategy and not necessarily pivoting or moving away from what's got them success, and being very objective about how they recruit.
Well, I guess the easy thing to do, Graham Potter was linked, wasn't he, with the return quite heavily in the summer. And that's probably quite a safe thing to do. You've got a guy who knows the club very well, who's brought in a lot of the squad, who's developed that playing style. It's probably very easy to go out, get Graham Potter back, get most of his coaching staff that went to Chelsea back, and you kind of move on. But yeah, it shows the level this club's operating at, their forward-thinking, kind of overall strategic direction, for want of a corporate buzzword, that they kind of go, no, that's the safe bet. We're going to appoint this guy. He's 31 years old, and we think he can take us to the next level. And be honest, based on their appointments of Zerbi, Potter first time round, you probably think they've probably made a wise choice again, because they always seem to get this stuff right.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Early days yet, but early signs for Brighton looking good. No Blue Monday rewind this week, but it is back next week for Southampton. So we can talk a little bit about our history, Seb. And of course, in the context of us being back in the Premier League, it's largely irrelevant, but nevertheless make us feel better about ourselves ahead of this one.
We have the overall better record. Yeah, we've played the X number of times. We've got 31 wins. They've got 15 draws and 24 wins for Brighton. And our record at the Amex is actually really good. We've only lost 2 of the last 9. There've been 6 draws in that time, but it tends to be a pretty happy hunting ground for us. The last time we were there, no recollections whatsoever. February 2017, it was a 1-1 draw. Luke Chambers opened the scoring for us. Toma Hemed equalised from the penalty spot. I've got no recollection of that. Have you?
No, but I was at the other one that you're going to talk about.
So there's previous to that, our last 2 results, they were both victories. We won in December 2015, a 1-0 win with Daryl Murphy scoring. This is the year after the playoffs. Daryl Murphy scoring as we went 4 points clear of 6. I guess that was a proper Mick McCarthy back to the Wolves job.
It was an S-house win, that one, definitely. But you kind of enjoyed them. That was the point where we were playing quite pragmatic football, squeaking the wins, and you don't kind of care. And there's kind of a little bit of bants. Because you've kind of got away with one maybe, and that was an example of it that night.
And the previous season was a 2-0 victory at the Amex. It was goals from Daryl Murphy again and Tommy Smith. And that was a Johnny Williams masterclass that day. I remember him dancing past there. He was playing on our left, I think. I remember him dancing past their fullback and cutting the ball back for Murphy to score. So, yeah, it is a pretty happy hunting ground for us. So long may that continue. I think we'd all take a point at the weekend, wouldn't we? Let's be honest, if you offer us a point now. 6 draws in the last 9 games. 6 draws out of the last 9. So, yeah, I'd certainly snap the hand off of that.
I'd take an S-House 1-0 away win. But, yeah, 1-1 penalty win, draw, sorry. Excellent. Should we bring things up to date? Because Matt has mentioned the ages of the 2 managers facing off in the dugout, but in the boardroom, it's 2 of the summer's biggest spenders facing off as well. So a lot of off-field stuff, recruitment. One name that I love in there as well, which we'll come on to, but a lot of new faces and a lot of money spent this summer by Brighton.
Top spenders in the Premier League. Second, we were second, so we were up there as well. But yeah, they are the top spending side. This is all the basically Chelsea giving them millions and millions of pounds over the last few years. They're finally kind of going out there and spending some of it. A few names we will recognise. Jorginho Ruta has joined them from Leeds. 40 million quid. Was he worth 40 million quid? I'm not so sure based on last season, but he's joined from Leeds, number 10. Slay can play up front, but better as a number 10. Yakuba Minter, they've kind of taken advantage here, I think, of Newcastle's PSR problem. He was a very late June signing as Newcastle was scrambling around to get some money, and he had a loan spell last year at Feyenoord and was excellent. We'll discuss his attributes shortly. He was £29 million from Newcastle, which I think could be a bit of a bargain. Central midfield, they've bought in Mats Wefer, defensive central midfielder, £26 million from Feyenoord. Brajan Gruda has joined. He's a right winger, 25 million quid from Mainz. Matt O'Reilly, I'm guessing he's going to be the name you like, because, yeah, I like him as well. He's joined from Celtic, £25 million. Such a shame. Injured on his debut. Hopefully he's going to be back just after the new year. Played in the League Cup on his debut a couple of days after signing. Awful tackle, and he's going to be out for at least kind of 4 or 5 months. So wish him well with the recovery, because MK Donzi was out, wasn't he, when we kind of first came across him? And,
so he was one of the ones that I had this run of granting players excellent moments against Ipswich in the early season. And did he score a free kick against us for MK Dons? I think, if I remember rightly, he had a good game either way, but a quality player. And you kind of thought when he's at Celtic, no, it's kind of one of these things, like, no disrespect to the SBL, but you kind of always got the sense that a Premier League club would kind of take a punt there. 25 million is pretty good money for Celtic, but I think in the long run, if he continues his trajectory, that could be a real good bit of business there for them. So yeah, I like that. And yeah, that situation, that injury was really cruel, wasn't it? And a little bit crap, wasn't it? But not going to complain. Obviously, he could be a big player for them. He won't be playing on Saturday, so I guess from a very selfish perspective, it's not necessarily bad for us. But yeah, we don't wish injuries on anyone. So
wish him all the best. Very, very classy central midfield. I always hoped secretly we might sign him one day, but obviously we're now in different stratosphere for that kind of money at this stage. Ferdi Kadioglu has come in. He's a left back primarily. He's a bit of a mixed Stockwell. He can cover quite a lot of positions on the pitch, but primarily a left back. He's coming.
Can I find a more contemporary reference for a utility player?
No, it's me. Every single person in that chat will know about the amazing usefulness of Mickey Stockwell as a utility player. Okay. He's coming from Fenerbahce for 25 million quid again. And the average age of all these signings is only 21. So they are doing what Brighton do. They are kind of bringing in these players they can look to develop. And I'm assuming probably in the next 2 years, one of these players will probably move on again to one of the top 4, the top 6 in this league for probably in excess of £100 million. And they will keep the cycle going. They're still bringing in money for squad players they've offloaded. Dennis Undav went to Stuttgart for £22 million. Billy Gilmore left. That was a surprise right towards the end of the window. Only joined them last summer from Chelsea. It's
not really to set the world alight there. From the outside, I'm not pretending that I watch Brighton week in, week out, but he's a high profile player that hasn't really done it, has he? He's really good for Scotland whenever I've seen him play for them, but he had that loan spell up the road, didn't he? Didn't really do much there. And you kind of feel like maybe for the benefit of his career, he needs to get out of the Premier League spotlight and there's ridiculously high expectations for him and just play football. And just get minutes, because it was kind of in the team one week, out the next. And when he came into Brighton, I think they brought him in and wanted to give him a run of games, and he just didn't have that consistency. He's still quite young, but there's a player there, but he just needs to get his head down, doesn't he? It's a cliche, but keep going.
They bought in good money. They bought in £12 million for him. He's gone to Napoli. Pascal Gross, probably Brighton's best ever player, I would suggest, in their history. £6 million to Dortmund. There's a bit of sentimentality around that one. And Adam Lallana also departed. He's gone back to where he started at Southampton, or where he played for a while. I don't know if he started at Southampton, but he's gone to Southampton on a free transfer. So Minter, I think, is the one so far based on this season, albeit only 3 games. He's probably the one that we're kind of looking at, thinking he might be the next one to make a big move. And just to give you some context, to give you some numbers, over the last 5 years, they have spent £431 million on transfers, and they've recouped £470 million. Wow. They are £39 million in the positive, and that doesn't even include all the managerial compensation they got for Graham Potter from Chelsea. So an exceptionally run club.
Yeah, positive net spend. You'll never sing that. Fair play. That's the real quiz. Do you want to give us some of the key, the big name departures and the money brought in?
Well, just to give an idea, yeah, of how good they are at this Moneyball kind of scenario, Moises Caicedo is the obvious one. £24 million signing, sold for over 100. Mark Cucurella bought in for 15 million, sold to Chelsea like Caicedo for 55 million pounds. Ben White was an academy prospect. They loaned him out to Leeds, bought him back, and then Arsenal came calling with 50 million pounds. Alexis McAllister, 7 million pounds, sold for 35 million to Liverpool. So, you know, Basuma was one. I think he came in for 12 million and the Spurs bought him for 30. They're just exceptional at getting these players in for relatively low fees compared to what they sell them at. Get them a couple of years, get them noticed. I mean, Caicedo was phenomenal the year before he moved to Chelsea, and yeah, they just reinvest it and they keep doing what they're doing. I mean, they replaced Cucurella with Estepinian, who's a better player, and they'll probably sell him again in the future for more than they got for Cucurella. So the model they do is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and I guess there's a question mark over Chelsea's recruitment, maybe in a couple of those numbers. But you know, you're not going to turn that kind of money down, are you?
But even Liverpool, don't forget, went in for Caicedo as well. They bid over 90 last summer. Klopp admitted. So he's clearly a player that the top clubs, yes, Chelsea probably did overpay, and they probably maybe didn't need him given their kind of central midfield numbers. But you know, these are players that get the eyes on all the relevant dashboards for the top Premier League clubs, and yeah, they are exceptional at it.
Dashboards. We need to add words to the Seb sweepstake, Seb podcast bingo. Should we try and do a little bit of tactical? Give folk what they can expect on Saturday. McKenna was talking about possibly a change of the formation from what Brighton are used to compared to what he did at St. Pauli, but we haven't seen a huge amount of drastic evolution, have we, from what at least the system that Zerbi was playing?
Yeah, not really. At St. Pauli, he was very much a three at the back man. This season, it's kind of a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. João Pedro tucks in just behind the main striker with the two epic quick dribblers either side of him. The only real difference between we've only got 3 games to work with this season, but the only real difference between this season and last season, they're making roughly 100 less short passes per game, and they're making roughly kind of 3 to 4 long balls more this season. So they are looking to get the ball forward ever so slightly more, but nothing really much. They do play a high defensive line. Kind of think of what Man City did to us at the Etihad in terms of getting the centre backs involved and stepping up and kind of building through the thirds. Maybe some joy for our quick players like Ogbene to get in behind if they do that on the halfway line. And they are the 6th highest pressers in the league so far. So decent at pressing, very good short passing side. 4-2-3-1 would be my key takeaways.
4-2 FN 3-1. This feature, this aspect of our pre-match show is always kind of in inverted commas, certainly for this season. Who are the key players, Seb? Who are the standout players for Brighton?
We've mentioned Minter so far. He's only got 1 assist. Very quick, very good ball carrier, very good dribbler. Plays on the right of the 3 behind the main striker. An absolute key presser in their high-pressing game. 40% of their attacks so far this season have come down his right-hand side. As I mentioned earlier, had a loan spell at Feyenoord last season with 10 goals and 5 assists. So he looks like he could really be the one. João Pedro has got 2 goals in the opening 3 matches. Got the winner against United and scored last week at the Emirates. He plays as the 10 tucked in behind. You can still find him. Danny Welbeck is kind of their central striking option at the moment. 2 goals and an assist so far this season, so he's doing okay. I've mentioned the 2 either side of the 10. You've got Minter down the right and you've got Matoma down the left. He's the guy that did the thesis on dribbling. Do you remember? He did a thesis on it all. He's, again, an exceptional ball carrier.
Big fan of
his. Sorry?
Big fan of his.
Yeah, really, really good player. It's going to be Twanzebe's going to have his wits about him, keeping up with him. He's an exceptional player. Lewis Dunk and Paul Van Hecker will be the 2 centre backs, both 6'2", so they are strong. They are
lacking in pace, perhaps. If we're trying to find
straws a little bit, I don't think Van Hecker is necessarily a slouch. I think, but Delap's physical. We know how physical Delap is. Yeah. You know, Slot had to take off Konza at half time in the first game because Delap was running him ragged. So there's your opportunity, Mr. Delap. Fill your boots. Jack Hillshaw has been filling in at left back for the first 3 games. He's a central midfielder or a right back by trade, but he's doing a job there because they've got a bit of kind of catching up with pre-season and international blues. I'd imagine the new signing from Fenerbahce, Ferdi Kadoglu, will probably make his debut, I would think, at left back. And Bart Verbruggen, the goalkeeper, replaced Jason Steele last time out at the Emirates. He's come back into goal. Couple of ex-ITFC. We know Jeremy Sarmiento isn't there anymore. He's got a season-long move to Burnley. And Adam Webster is still there, but he's very much a bench option these days.
Quite a few. I mentioned the international situation there. Shall I talk through that briefly? Say while you have a drink. I need to get this right. Estepinian, isn't it? Pedro and Ciso, Minter, Matoma, all kind of rest of the world type, European and rest of the world in terms of internationals we're talking here. So they've had pretty chunky flights. Pedro and Enciso faced off against each other for Brazil and Paraguay. Won by Paraguay. I think Brazil have had a shocking run in World Cup qualifying. 4 defeats in 5, if I've got that right. Pedro played the second half and Enciso played the second, played 85 minutes. They're probably the biggest question marks. I don't think Brighton are particularly concerned about that situation, but those two, having played on Wednesday, are probably the ones with the biggest question mark there. But other than that said, we've talked about Matt O'Reilly, long-term absentee. Solly March is another one there. There's a couple of players on the periphery. One big name, if we mention, who won't be involved as well. Just take us through the kind of key absentees or question marks we have.
So James Milner is the key absentee. He's out. He got subbed against Arsenal, I think, in the first half with a hamstring injury. I think it's been confirmed today that he won't make it. Joel Veltman, the right back, the guy that kicked the ball at Declan Rice, he's got a hamstring, so he is a doubt. And they've kind of got this kind of clutch of players who were all due back just after the international break. So whether or not they'll feature against on the bench, I'm not entirely sure. But that's Tarek Lamperty, Mats Vafer, Evan Ferguson, big season for him potentially. Do you remember how we were quite close to signing him in League One?
Could have been the new key for more.
Yeah, we were close to the January window in League One. We were close to getting him, weren't we? And obviously, we got George Hurst instead, and he started banging in goals for Brighton. But 6 goals, I think it was last season, so a big year for him.
It wasn't. Was it when we were signing George Hurst in the January? Have I got my January windows mixed up? It wasn't the key for more. January.
No, I'm sure it was the League One season when he was still a relative unknown. Because last year he was playing, he got 6 goals last season.
And then he scored on Match of the Day. I remember watching Match of the Day. It's like, oh bloody hell, he's not coming here anymore.
Yeah. So they've got a few doubts. Milner's definitely out, and like you said, the jet lag around Enciso and Pedro mean that Ruta might well start in the 10. But yeah, we shall wait and see at 1:45 on the Saturday.
Give us your. I haven't added in the feature for this, but Seb's insight of the week. Seb, have you got any? I've been clutching at straws all night long. What's your clutching at straws situation for us on Saturday?
Well, I would say expect goals. Of the last 20 games at the Amex, both sides have scored on 14 occasions, which is the 4th highest in the Premier League. And we have only failed to score 6 times away from home in the last 2 seasons. Normally, I give you a starting 11 quiz, but I'm not going to do that this week. I want the 6 teams that we didn't score against in the Championship and League One when we were away from Portman Road. Get this in the chat as well. Feel free to join in. But come on, there's 4 last season. And there's 2 in League One, unless I've got this wrong, but I don't think I have. So
Leeds.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm really struggling.
We were at 1.
Yep. Thank you to ITFC. Dan has got in there.
Yep. So you've got 2 more. One really right towards the end of the season. We got up at a stupid o'clock to watch it.
Them lot.
Yep. Them lot.
Well done to Neil. We've got Stoke from Matt and Dan.
New Year's Day, I think that wasn't.
I was thinking
that's the Championship.
Lincoln. Was there a Lincoln in there?
No, away from home.
There was. That was a 2-2 on New Year's Day, wasn't it? 2 years ago. Are we back into League One now?
Yeah, League One. There's 2 sides. There's the infamous turning point of the League One season. Bristol
Rovers.
Yep. And then a fairly tame defeat just before Christmas.
Oh man. This should be imprinted in my brain, but I'm old, as I've explained, and no one's helping me in the chat. Clue?
Should I put you out of your misery? Rockstar
Oxford.
Manager who moved to QPR.
Say again?
Wickham manager who moved to
Wickham, here they come. Here come the cavalry after I look like a numpty.
Well done for delaying that, folks.
Well done, Seb. Thanks for that. I was going to do the 30-second promo and buy myself some thinking time, but you chucked me right under the bus. That's fine. Thank you for all your hard work and research on Brighton. We'll be back to talk about Ipswich in a minute. But firstly, we need to say thank you to our friends at One Stop Badges. 10% promo in the link in the description. And I actually have Blue Monday One Stop Badge merch that I could show if I was any good at hosting a podcast. But I'm not.
Good. Have you not prepared it? Oh, brilliant.
No, brilliant. I'm useless. So we'll show you those next week. But also our show partner, Atwells, here's some info on them whilst we have a swig of drink.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
Thanks again to Atwells and One Stop Badges. In terms of other bits and pieces of information here on the podcast, the Flagship Show will be back after the fact on Sunday to go through the game afterwards, after the fact. I've just said that. Ben, Dave, Joe, I think, are the lineup for that. So the usual three wise men. Back into normal groove next week as well for Southampton. We'll have Blue Monday Rewind Tuesday, predictions Wednesday, Prematch Thursday, and then Flagship Show again on the Sunday. If you want to join us on Telegram, please get involved in there. Conversation continues 24/7 seemingly over there. And now there's no transfer chat. I'm much more comfortable with the goings on Telegram. But as always, everything you need to know, our podcast feed, YouTube, social media, all that stuff, our show running orders, Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk is our website. And as always, thumbs up, massively appreciated if you've appreciated Seb's hard work, less so my hosting, more Seb's hard work. And everything else we do here on Blue Monday. And please subscribe. You get our new content in your feed, right in your face. Let's talk about us then, Seb. We're not used to the kind of level of departures around an international break. So how does Kieran McKenna play it? And also worth mentioning, a lot of players available to him. Do you want to use your phrase to describe who might be in training this week?
Yeah, so George Hurst and Wes Burns are back on the grass and could be available for this weekend, which is exciting because I love George Hurst and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play at the Premier League level. Nathan Broadhead doesn't sound like he's too far away, not for this weekend, and Harry Clark is involved as well. So it sounds like that we're going to have a pretty healthy squad of players to pick from in the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, obviously Muric will be the keeper. I'm not sure there's any doubt there. Do you think there's any issues with that? McKenna said he spoke to him today about the issues with Kosovo, but there's always two sides to every story. So I think he'll be starting. I'm quite happy with the fact that Davies, Wolfenden and Greaves all kind of stayed behind. I know Twanzebe was away, but I like the fact they've had a couple of weeks to kind of work on stuff. So I think that will be a fairly settled, what we come to expect now for the first choice back four. I think Dara O'Shea might have to be patient for a few more weeks yet. Phillips and Morsey at the central midfield. We're not going to disagree on that one, are we? Amari is fine, but apparently after his withdrawal from the under-21 squad, so that's encouraging. Ogbene played really well for Ireland, man of the match against England, scored a great goal, but was very offside in the second game. So I expect Ogbene to start on the right, Hutchinson in the 10. And then I guess, is it going to be Schmodic or is it going to be Clark on the left-hand side? I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jack Clark, to be honest with you. And we know Liam Delap's going to start up front. So I'm going to go Ogbene, Hutchinson and Clark as the three behind Delap. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Ogbene comes in purely because Burns I don't think is ready for a start, even if he has been involved this week. And I really liked what I saw last week, and I liked what I saw international level for him as well. So I think he's in form at the moment. So I think he's got to come straight back in. The question mark is, as you say, on that left-hand side. And I wouldn't be surprised, given he's had a whole fortnight at the club, is that Jack Clark comes in. I think a little bit of pace might help us down that side. And what a finisher to bring in Sam Schmodic. So I would concur with your situation there. Let us know your thoughts, folks, in the chat as well, what you would do. But I think Seb and I, for once, are pretty much aligned on what we think will happen. And as you say, good news, Seb, that there's no real doubts about Amari Hutchinson, who departed the under-21s earlier. The chat and what we got here, Hope Phillips and Morsey have pretty much lived with each other this past fortnight. Best buds.
I assume Phillips has spent 2 weeks learning off Morsey, so he'll Good stead for.
Matt, I think Igbene will become a big part of our season. I really like his attitude. Agreed. Plus, 100%. He speaks really well. Agreed, including intelligent player. Agreed. Great point, Matt. Thank you. Excellent for that. Lee, how about Amari on the right, Sammy middle, Clark left, Seb? I'm not sure Amari fits the bill that we need down that right-hand side. I think that was your point about Burns signing his new deal and maybe our thinking about Igbene coming back in.
Yeah, I think in the
different role, isn't
system,
it?
Yeah, we know that wide right needs to be quick, strong, good in the air to give an option for a diagonal switch from the left-footed centre-back, and also look to beat his man and put crosses in. Hutchinson did really well against Sheffield Wednesday, I remember, at home, and Hull away in that right-hand role, but that was more so when the left-backs were completely knackered and stuff. So I much prefer him in the 10. I think he's more involved there. I think he can kind of, use his skill and his pace to go past a man, but I just don't think he's quite quick enough for that right-hand role.
Craig asks, once all our forwards are fit, what's your front four? That came up on the flagship as well. Do you want to answer that one?
If they're all fit, I love the look of Ogbene, but recency bias, I'm going to say Burns wide right, Hutchinson in the 10, Clark wide left, and I'm going to say George Hurst through the middle, because I've heard it said several times over the summer stuff. The club seem to think that Hurst is one that will really do well at this level, and I love George Hurst because of Barnsley away, as you can see over my shoulder. I still can't get it right after 5 years on a podcast. But yeah, I think Hurst could be one that does really, really well. And then, like you said earlier, you've got phenomenal finishers to come in because you're bringing the likes of Smodic, Ogbene, Hurst off the bench, which is a vast array of riches to have.
Yeah, a lot of people concurring with that. Blackgate Media, who falls asleep to the podcast, Seb, and then the Outwells promo wakes him up, which means it's working. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not. What is it about us that makes you fall asleep as well? Is it maybe how we go forensic into the opposition? Who knows? But apologies for waking you up. But yeah, he mentioned superb cover, start and finish across all the attacking midfielders. Joe Smodic not done enough. People. I mean, the Man City goal should be fresh in our mind, Seb. If we were talking about getting in behind, it worked to Man City with Smodic. It's just, it sounds really bad for me to say, but he's had 2 games for Ireland, hasn't he? And is getting on a little bit. No, am I being really harsh?
I'm not sure he's getting on. He's
relatively speaking to the competition that he's got.
He's a pest. He's a brilliant pest. We saw it at Man City. He's still closing people down in the full back positions. And yeah, he will run all day for you. The goal at City was excellent. He's a goal scorer. He knows where the goal is, but he has played 2 games in the space of 2 weeks. Whereas I just think maybe because Clark's been at the club for the last 2 weeks, they've probably been working on his relationship with Davis. And I wouldn't be surprised if Clark starts on. But equally, I wouldn't be surprised if Smodic then comes back in next week against Southampton. It'll be very much horses for courses, and it's an absolutely great array of talent to be able to call on.
What a lovely problem for Kieran McKenna. We'll find out what he does about that problem on Saturday. Now let's talk about my favourite feature on the podcast, our FPL feature. Wakey, Blackgate Media. So, Seb, do you remember at the start of the season, you won the first week, gave it the big un, and can you explain that situation for
me?
It's
a marathon, not a sprint. Don't get too excited. I am going to decimate your Erling. Let's be honest. If Erling Haaland hadn't scored back-to-back hat-tricks, the rest of your team is pretty crap. I noticed last week you had Neil Maupay on the bench, and he left on the deadline day. So you clearly just you've got all your eggs in the Haaland basket, and I'm coming for you this week. I've banked 3 free transfers. I've used them all, and I'm going to shoot down your Haaland exosit with my own weapon of mass destruction.
That's a really long, drawn-out way of saying I'm wrong, but fair play to you. You've tried to. It's like the Trump-Harris debate. This one, isn't it?
Wow, right.
Let's talk through. I mean, ITFC point bonus got me some bonus on you. I mean, it's not just Haaland. I mean, it's a big impact there, but there is some quality.
Have you got more ITFC points? I had Liam Delap. You didn't have Liam Delap.
No, I had Leif Davis got bonus points, and I named all the Ipswich players I could in my team.
Well done. Because
I play the game. Not, you can bitch and moan about it all you want, but you can only. I don't know where I'm going with it, but yeah, 20-point lead, 1 point. On the head-to-heads. So let's move on because Seb doesn't like it when he's losing. And this feature might not last too much longer. Congrats to James Punchard, who is leading the way in our mini pre-match FPL league. Our mate Jacob Howley's on there. Neither Seb nor I are on there, but we're doing the purest pre-match.
We're hamstrung, aren't we, with our rules that we have. Do
you want to go first? Talk us through your team this week, changes you're making.
Yeah, so I've made 3. I banked 3 free transfers. You can bank up to 5 this season. It used to be 2, and then you would lose points for any extras. So I saved 3. I didn't make any in the first 3. I've now bought in 3 people. I've dropped Eze, Anthony Gordon, and Ollie Watkins, and I have bought in Mo Salah, who is my captain, to compete with your Erling Haaland up front. I've bought in João Pedro. I'm going to be honest. I needed a cheap striker, and I completely forgot of all the grief I gave you for bringing in Diego Jota the weekend before he played against Ipswich. So I will hold my hands up and admit that one's a little bit on me. I may have, I've messed up with that one. And I've dropped Saliba to the bench and put Konza in the back 3 because I think Tottenham will score against Arsenal, and I have Raya in goal, so I can't take a double non-clean sheet. So yeah, Mo Salah is the headline. Mo Salah is the captain. Mo Salah will score probably no points this week now.
Mo Salah dropped.
He'll be dropped. Yeah, he'll be rested for their European Champions League campaign in midweek.
And that's what happened to me. I brought in Savinho after he embarrassed us, and he was dropped, and now he's got an exclamation mark by his name, and I was tempted to take him out. When I missed the last time out, I was going to bring in Mbeumo, Brentford,
yeah,
who scored twice, and I was like, ugh, typical FPL curse.
You've still got Neil Maupay on your bench. You know he's in France, right?
Yeah, it's about the starting 11, Seb. It's not about the bench.
Okay, just seems weird you haven't swapped him out with somebody.
Well, I'm not going to waste a transfer for someone on the bench.
Oh my God! So Haaland is playing Brentford at the Etihad.
Yeah.
Christ, right?
And
brilliant.
Jota is my vice captain for similar reasons why you've picked Salah. I've made one change. I brought in Martinez at Villa for Pickford. Not feeling good about Everton, but they'll probably get a clean sheet now. But they're playing Villa, and Villa have a nice run of fixtures there. But other than that, yeah, you're bitching about my team, but I've got Son and Bowen, and you've got Isak, haven't you? So not all that bad. So we'll see.
We've both kept Hutchinson in midfield. You've got Davis at the back. I've got Delap up front. They are our 2 ITFC picks this week.
Yeah, and I've got Greaves and Cresswell as my bonus Suffolk person. I was going to bring in Nick Pope for the goalkeeper because that kind of ticks the box there, but nah. Went with Martinez. We will see how we get on and see whether this feature has any legs or whether Seb packs it up and throws
Not at all. This one I'm in for the long run, and I am fully confident I will beat you over the next
Come on, Erling.
7 months, whatever it's going to be.
We will go to your Ipswich Town, Brighton predictions next. So get those in. Any last questions for Seb? Any shout outs you want? So get those in now as we enter the final stretch of the pod. Nice reminder that people love our FPL feature. Lee, FPL in the bin, love that. It's not for everyone, but we're running out of features, Lee, when Seb can't win them and bitches about it. There's only so much that I can do.
I destroyed you at room 101, so feel free to bring that back anytime.
Okay, well, there we go. We'll go back to room 101 or football room 101. FPL tracks. I think Rich compared you to Trump there, Seb, Atwells. 2 T's on Atwells. But yes, if we're going to... there you go. I don't think they do mitigation, is it? Or litigation or...
slander,
all that fun stuff. But hey ho, Micah's coming over. Our friend in Brisbane. I'm coming over early March. Is there any chance to get a ticket? Nope. Home or away? Nope. Sorry, Michael. Maybe if you pick a game where there's 60,000 home tickets available, you might get lucky in the home end. To our conversation earlier, but it's an absolute ball ache getting tickets. Certainly, if you are not a season ticket holder at home, and I'm playing the jeopardy of away match. I haven't got 30 points or whatever Seb's got, so it's tough. But there's a ballot, I guess. You never know. But you should definitely go to the Greyhound if you come over. Here come the predictions. Neil going for a 1-1. I would love that. Wouldn't even get on the bus for 1-1. But Seabass, he's going for a 1-0 to Stan and Davis to score. That would have some bearing on. Did you pick Davis in your FPL team? You didn't, did you?
No, he's on my bench.
Oh, Davis Seabass. Craig is going for a 2-2. ITFC, Dan, we will score twice. How many times will Brighton score though, Dan? That's the real quiz. Tim going for a lot of 2-2s, a lot of draws. Horseholder a little bit more realistic, perhaps. going for a Brighton 2-1, although I think we might get something. Michael going for the famous 3-2. Wes and Chaplin off the bench for a classic cutback to win the game. Oh, I think that's a little bit of blue tinted specs going on over there. Colin's going for a 2-2. Goldstone Ghost, our resident Brighton fan, thank you for joining in the chat. Appreciate opposition views. Always going for a Brighton 4-1. Not making any friends, Goldstone Ghost, with that prediction, but we appreciate your honesty nevertheless. Gary going for a 2-1 win and a Hurst off the bench, something you would bloody love. Seb, Chris, our mate in New Zealand, going for a 1-0 Town win, first clean sheet. Blimey. Blackgate Media 2-2 Smodic to lap. Yeah, there you go. Philip, Brighton will be more difficult than the Fulham game. I think we concur with that, Seb, won't we? What's Brighton's home situation? I mean, they don't lose too many at home, do they?
Yeah, there were certainly games last year they should have won.
Okay.
They didn't lose Heine, but there were games where they felt that they should have taken points from. They dropped points. So this season they've only played one game. They played Man United in that televised game on the early Saturday kickoff, and they won it 2-1 with a 95th minute winner. So yeah, certainly last season there were certainly times where they dropped points unnecessarily, I would suggest.
Craig has asked this question about a million times, so I'll ask it and see if you can answer it in 45 seconds or less.
We have a better manager in the dugout, and our quick players, i.e. Ogbene, could find a lot of space in behind their high centre-backs.
And sometimes it's about what the opposition do or don't do as well. And I imagine quite a few teams will take us for granted. Maybe, who knows?
But also, think about it, central midfield, if Phillips and Morsey have been working on stuff for 2 weeks, they've lost Milner. Mats Vafer kind of did play in the opening game, but he's just coming back from an injury. So
players coming back from long international
trips. There's a potential there for that central midfield. If Morsey and Phillips can continue their second half Fulham performance, we could have a bit of joy in there as well, I would suggest.
They could have a grotty pre-match lasagna, Craig. There's a bit in the Matrix Reloaded where the Merovingian and his cronies start attacking Morpheus, and they make him bleed, and he goes, look, he's just a man, and it's 11 men versus 11 men. And when it comes down to that, there are so many variables. Of course, talent is the major variable, and tactics and so on. But at the end of the day, it's a game of football. And I'm sure we've used the M word before. I'll chuck it in there again. Maidstone. So you never know. That's the hope that kills you, Craig. But don't worry too much about it. I'm sure Kieran McKenna will have a plan. Seb,
so there you go, Craig. Don't worry about my analysis. It all comes down to the Matrix Reloaded.
The Matrix Reloaded, which is pretty lousy as a film, wasn't it? But anyway, we've gone to some random places there today, folks. Thank you so much for being with us. If you stuck in there from minute 1 to minute 60.1, thank you so much, Craig, Seb, whatever your name is. Brilliant research as always. Thank you so much.
We haven't done our predictions. Are you forgetting?
No, I'll end on that. Thank you very much. Here's Goldstone Ghost with some insight. Brighton play down the wings, not through the middle. Belibra Ayari will start in the middle. There you go. Thank you for that. Flagship Show back Sunday, a little bit more coherent than certainly Ben in the host chair compared to me in the host chair for this one. Do give us a thumbs up. Do give us a subscribe. Do give us a podcast review. All that fun stuff. Telegram, Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk website. Can't go wrong there. Seb, what's your prediction?
I think we're going to lose 3-2. I'm really sorry to do that. I'm sorry to be the negative one. I think there'll be goals. Like I said earlier, they concede. We tend to score away from home. Somebody said in the chat, 1-0 clean sheet. Get ready to clip this up when it happens, but I can't see us keeping.
Oh yeah, you've got form in the last 2 podcasts now.
I've got the goal scorer correct. Yeah, I got Smodic at the Etihad, and I got Liam Delap right last time. I got the time wrong in the Fulham game, but I got Delap right. So yeah, I think Amari is going to open his account this weekend, but I think we are going to lose 3-2. Sorry, folks.
Fine.
And there's no disgrace in that because
Brighton,
we discussed the opening 2 games and said things are about to get easier, but maybe it's the week after this when things start to get a little bit easier because Brighton have started exceptionally well and are a very, very good club.
Yeah, well, fine. I'm gonna have to try and find some positivity to finish the podcast. Seb's going for a Brighton striker and his FPL team's going for Brighton to win. I mean, blimey, guys, I'm doing my best for you. I'm going to go for an Ipswich 2-2. I'm going to go for Ogbene to get the goal that he didn't get on the international weekend, and Delap to score again. Bundle in from a set piece, second phase. There you go. Maybe a late job. Maybe Brighton take the lead and Ipswich come back. So let's go with that one. Thank you, as always, folks, for joining in. And as we say, do give us a thumbs up before you leave. And Seb, I guess I've got to hand over to you, haven't I?
Is it me? I can't remember what order we're doing it in. Is it me? Yeah, okay, I'll do the sign off. Enjoy it, everybody. Have a great time down on the South Coast. I'm not making the trip for this one. I wish I was, but I'm going to do Southampton the following week. So sing loud. Let's hear you through BBC Suffolk and I follow commentary and all that good stuff. Enjoy it, and we will see you this time next week. Come on, you Blues.